So the very first one I'm going to discuss today is on repetition, how we can use pen colors, right? How to use pen. Now for that, let me switch into Scratch. Right. So here I'm going to teach you how we could use pen. Now to include a pen, we can click here. Here we have a button called add extension. So you have to add first pen. So you know that these are called extensions where you can do a lot of things, like you can have music, you can have pen, you can have microbit. We are going to look at this later in the section, but right now we'll start with the pen, right? So I'm going to select pen. Now when you click pen, what will happen? It will add it to the Scratch, and then you will get a new set of code blocks, right? Now you can make drawings, like for example, we can, pen down and pen up means, we can say pen down, right? So that now it will start drawing. Now we can move. Now, for example, if I say move 10, now you will see what will happen. Okay, pen down, move. You see it will draw a line now. So you see here, right? So likewise, if you go back to pen, you can erase all. So now I'm going to erase, right? I can ask, cat to come back to the original position. So I will go move. I will say, okay, go to X naught, Y naught. I will put this one. So, okay. And I will say erase all. Now you can draw anything you want. Now, for example, let's say I'm going to draw a square. So I can easily do this. So let me say I'm going to go, let's say 100 steps. So I'm going to go 100 steps. Yes. Then, you have to rotate. So I'm going to rotate, let's say 90 degrees. Okay, I rotate 90 degrees. Then again, I go 100 steps. Again, 90 degrees, 100 steps. Again, 90 steps, 100 steps. Again, 90 degrees. This is possible, right? Now to do this in one shot, what I can do, I can erase all. Now I'm going to get a repetition. Now I have to repeat this 4 times, isn't it? I have to repeat 4 times what? Right? Moving 100 steps and rotating 90, right? So this has to be done. So if I click it, so it will draw like this. Okay. So now repetition, you see, it's very interesting. Now we can have very nice, interesting ones. If you repeat this one, now let me show you something. Like let's say I'm going to repeat this 12 times. Within that, I'm going to do this. And right after this, I'm going to shift this. Let's say, right, 30 degrees. Now what really happens here? Now let me show you like before, without this one, the whole repetition. Now I'm going to draw, then I'm going to turn, then I'm going to draw, I'm going to turn, I'm going to draw, I'm going to turn, I'm going to draw, I'm going to turn, I'm going to draw again turning. Now, if I want to do this from the very beginning, it's very easy, right? Draw, turn, draw, turn, draw, turn, draw, turn, draw, turn, draw, turn, draw, turn. Okay. Now, if you want to do it in one shot, I will erase all. So this has to be done 12 times because every time I'm going to rotate 30 degrees. 30 into 12, we get 360. So what I could do, okay, so in one single shot, I can do this. If you know we this one, you can make it like 3, and maybe you can do this for 120, which will you get a smoother curve like this. This is fun, right? Okay, so it's a small exercise for you. Try something and then send me some files with the pen. Use repetition a lot. Okay, at least try a couple of things with that. Okay, let me start from the beginning. So in this one, we are going to look at how we could use pen, right? How to draw pen, we have to learn a few basics. Now, first one, we have to pen down it. Pen down means then only you can draw. Now, if you take motion together with pen down, it will draw, right? If you click on here, you can see that the cat moves and you see the drawing. That's the first step, right? Now, what I have asked you to do is use the repetition to draw some shapes or some designs. Now, the very first thing I have explained to you is how to draw a square. Now, let me first clear. I'm going to click erase all. I want to come back to the original place. So I'll go to motion and I will say, okay, come to X note, Y note, because like we'll start everything from the beginning, right? So I'm going to connect these two now. So erase all. So you can say go to X note and you erase all. And then you can say pen down, right? Now I have stacked these three so that every time when I start, I can use this one. Now to draw a square, we know we have to go some steps. So let's say 100 to clearly see this, maybe let's say 200. Okay. And then, so I will first go 200. Then I have to turn, isn't it? Because it goes in this direction. I want to go that direction. That means I have to turn this to 90 degrees. So I will turn using 90 degrees. Okay. Then I will move again 200. Again turn 90 degrees. Again 200. Turn 90 degrees. Again 200. Right. 200 is too much, I guess. Let me try with, let's say, 150. So the first step, you move, you turn, you move, you turn, you move, you turn, you move, and you turn, right? So simply what I'm going to do, I'm going to, repeat this 4 times, isn't it? So if I start from the beginning, I will repeat 1, 2, 3, 4. Taranji, are you clear with this one, this step?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if you want to draw other shapes, you can do same here. Now, for example, depend on the degree that you are turning, you can change it. Right now, for example, if I put 120, you can draw a triangle. If you remember the basics of geometry, right? It will be a triangle, right? Then likewise, what are the other shapes we can have? If you need 5 sides, you divide 360 by 5, right? Let's say 75. So let's have 75. Now, if you have 75, okay, 5. Then if you have 60, like let me have 100 now. If you have 60, then you have, yes, this shape. So you got the point, right? Now, let's start with, now I have to change the direction as well. Otherwise, this might not work. I will start like this. Okay. Now, every time I will start like this. So let's draw the square. Okay. So I have to repeat 4 times. So I'm going to go for control. We'll get a repetition for 4 times. So in the single shot, I can do this. Dharanji, is this clear to you now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will start from the beginning. Now what I did actually, after drawing this one, I slightly move. right? So you can decide how many degrees you want to turn, but what I did, I draw this, then I slightly turn the cat. Again, I draw this, I slightly turn the cat, right? So I keep on doing this. The number you have to decide. Usually you can go, if you are turning 15 degrees, so the complete cycle is 360 degrees. So you can calculate how many times you need to repeat. So if it is 30, 12, that I guess this should be 24 then. Okay. Got the point? Dhananji?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in my case, so I can repeat this multiple times. The time I have to decide, let me say 24. If you ask me why 24, because I'm turning 15 degrees. So 15 into 24 will give us the 360 degrees. So when I click it, so I can now combine with this one. Okay, this is my final. Right on top of this, I can now click. Right, so when I click start, so you see the point, right? Okay, can you repeat the same and maybe you can share the code with me? Share your output with me. Okay, so you can play from the beginning. Okay, that's good. So why don't you try then the routine given in the book? Okay, let me share the routine given in the book. So can you go to the reading book? So you can try now page number 37. So this routine. So that means I have already done this. Actually, my daughter did it. Okay, let me share. Right. Let me change it to Scratch. So let me start from the beginning. So it will be like this. Okay, so as the next step, try the repetition given in page number 37. And once you finish, please let me know. So it will keep on doing, right? So you can see. So it's a similar to what we have already done, but except it will have additional colors. So you can easily change the code to that one. Okay, let's start. Jana. Okay, that's good. Okay, let me share the other exercise given in the book. So it's simple repetition. So if I start from the beginning, it looks like this. So can you try that? You can go to page number. So that code is given in page number 36. Can you complete that one as well? Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's go back to the lesson again. Now, we think we have discussed these ideas, so I can switch to the next topic. It's a new topic that we are going to discuss, how we can use arrays. So now, we have used variables in different cases, right? But when you want to create multiple variables, sometimes it's very difficult to create, variables for students. Now, like, let's say we want to store marks for 5 students. Then without arrays, we have to create like marks 1, marks 2, marks 3, marks 4, marks 5. Now, if you have a situation like this, that means you need several variables, but you are going to store same kind of a data. Then the obvious choice is you can go for arrays, right? Now, building an array in Scratch is easy, right? So you have to go to arrays, and then you will say, okay, make a list, and then we will give a name, right? So let me show you how we can create, let's say marks array in Scratch. Right. So let me go to Scratch again in my Scratch interface. I will start fresh. I will start new one. Okay. And you go to variables, and then you click make list, right? Make list. I'm going to select for this pirate only, and I'm going to say marks, right? So then this happens. So let me check why this happens. Oh, marks. So when I create a list like this, you will get something like this. So it's not a single thing, right? You can arbitrarily put, marks. Now let's say I want to enter some marks. Now you see, you will get a new set of blocks. Now, if you want to add something, like let's say I want to add, let's say my first student's marks is 80, I can put 80, add 80 to marks. So it will add 80. Then let's say marks of the second student is 60. So I can say, okay, at that 60. Third one, let me put 45, 45. Now we know that. Now, if you want to know how many students we have, if you get the length of marks, right, it will say, okay, 3. There are 3 students in the list, right? If you want to display marks, okay, so you can have a repetition. Now, let's say I want to display whatever inside marks. So I can get the repetition. Okay, repeat to length of marks. That means we are going to repeat 3 times, right? And then we can show. So I'm going to say looks and say, what I'm going to say is what is inside the list, right? So we can say, okay, we can get one item at a time. So we can have, okay, item 1 of marks. Hmm? So this could be a variable. For example, okay, we can do it like this. Let me put a repetition later. So when you say 1, okay, so it says item 1, it's 80. So item 2, it's 60. Item 3, it's 45. Okay, small exercise. I want you to create a array or list array for colors and add 5 colors to the list and show me your work.
Okay, can you share the screen, Dhananjay? Okay, that's good. Right. Now, one of the things that we can do with arrays, let me share my screen. You can display, right? So for example, now you can add any number of uh, colors to this. So your name could be colors. So in this particular case, we have marks, but it could be any name. Then you can add any number of colors, and then depend on the size, you can arbitrarily show them as well. So you don't have to fix it, right? You don't have to fix it how many times you are going to do it. So you can get the length. Now let's say in this particular case, we will start, right? You can get a variable for this one, right? Now we have my variable. Now this length will give is here. So length of marks. We know that there are 5 elements. That means we have to go 5 times if I want to display what is inside. So I can get a repeat as well. So I'm going to repeat for the length of the marks. Now the problem is this. Now how do you display? Now to display the content, remember we discussed, we have to say, okay, item 1 of marks. So this is what will get read. So you should start with 1, isn't it? So what I'm going to do instead of 1, now we have to go 5 times, arbitrary. So I'm going to get a variable. So I'm going to say my variable, right? So that my variable, I'm going to set the my variable to 1, right? Then when I say item my variable of marks, what will happen? Right? When I set my variable to 1, my variable is 1. Item my variable of marks, that will be read. Now, if I change it by 1, I'm going to change my variable by 1. Now, what will happen? My variable is 2. Now, if you go to this one, it will say green. Again, it will say yellow. You know, we can put into repeat statement. So what I can do, I will set my variable to 1 in the beginning, and I will have a repeat with length of marks, right? And then each time I'm going to say, right, the item my variable, and then you change of marks. See what will happen, right? So if I click it, it will go by red, green, yellow, blue, and black. Now, interesting point, I'm going to add a new one now. So let me add a new. So I'm going to add, let's say another, let's say gray. I'm adding gray now. You see, now I have 6 items, isn't it? We have 6 items. I can use the same code, right? When I click it, you will see it says red, green, yellow, blue, black, and gray. You got the point? So this piece of code is very interesting. You can create a set of values, and then we can make use of this. Okay, can you do the same? Repeat the same and show me. So in this one, we are going to discuss how to create a array called country and adding 5 countries to the array, right? So let's start. Now I think we discussed how to assign into arrays. And same goes with the displaying as well. So that part we have already done earlier, right? Display how to do this, right? And here is another one where you can enter your name and marks, and you can add it to 2 arrays, right? Shall we start with that one? 43, page number 43. Try this. So here what we are going to do, we are creating 2 arrays called name and marks. So we are going to store student name as well as marks in an array. Okay. So let's start. It's in page number 43. Now that we know how to create an array, how to display an array, now the next one, right? We are going to look at, right? The marks over 15 marks for the interview. So if you have entered the marks, right, you can actually select those who actually get this one. So this is, so you can do it as a homework. So I'm not going to spend time on that one. Right. So I would like to switch on the next one, like how you could use programming to solve problems. Right. Now, for example, let's say we want to find average marks of 10 numbers. Right. So getting this, first of all, we have to get the 10 numbers. So that means we can repeat it 10 times. We can ask the number, then we can add to an array, like let's say number, right? That's the first part of it. The second part, we can to calculate total marks. Now, to calculate total marks, we need 2 variables. One, to find the total. Another one, to repeat this 10 times. So for that, we have to use another variable. Let's say it's count, right? And then when loop repeats, what you're going to do, you are going to add total to the value. So you get a number and then you add it to the total. And then you change the counter. So this way you are going to add, right, the 10 numbers. Finally, to find the average marks, we have to divide the total by 10, right? And then we can finally click the output, right? So let's start how to look at this one, and then we will, finish the lesson. Now I'm going to select the Scratch, and then I'm going to start with a new one. Right. So what I'm going to do with, right? I'm going to do with getting marks, right? So 10 times. So to get marks for 10 times, I have to do this 10 times. I'm going to repeat 10 times. And then I'm going to create a list called marks. Not variable, I will go to create the mark. And for that, I will use, right, marks array. So I will create a marks array. Now it is there. Now I am going to add this 10 times. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask, yes, enter marks, for example, enter marks. And this will repeat 10 times, isn't it? And that marks answer, we are going to keep it in this array. Now to do that, we'll go to this and we add, right? Whatever the user enters into marks, so that means the answer. So whatever user enters, that is the answer, we will add it here. Now let's run it. So we can actually add 10 marks. Like this. 10 marks, done. Right? Now the problem is, now that's all. Now we have done this. Now we have to find the total marks. Now to find the total marks, you have to repeat again 10 times, and during a repeat, you have to do a couple of things. First one, you need a variable called total. Okay. So I'm going to create a variable called total, right? And then that variable could be used to calculate the total marks. So how do you use that? So first of all, I'm going to set the total is 0, right? Because we know that initially total should be 0. And within this one, what we need to do, we have to change, right? Total. How do you change the total? Now for that, we have to add two things. You have to get the existing total plus whatever the value here, right? Now that means we have to need an operator. We need to get the existing value, that is total, right? So I'm going to get total here. And for that total, I have to get a value from here. Okay, that is the problem now. Which value we are going to get it, right? So the first iteration, we have to get the first one. Second iteration, we have to get the second one, which means we have to iteratively do this. That means we need another variable, right? So for that, I will create another variable, let's say count, right? The idea of count is we are going to get one at a time. So first of all, I'm going to set the count to 1 because I'm going to start with 1. So now first iteration, what we have to do, I have to get the count, right? So for that, I'm going to get, okay, I'm going to get the value, right? So we have to get the item, right? And which one? So 1. So that means we have to use count, isn't it? Because first time it will say, okay, count. Then we have to change the count, right? Because first of all, we will get 1. So let's see now. So I'm going to go to change. We'll change the count by 1. So this will repeat 10 times. Now let's see the outcome. Now we'll keep on doing this. We'll have a wait, otherwise it will take it runs quickly. So I will have wait 1 minute to review the content. Let me say 2 minutes, 2 seconds. I did it purposely because otherwise it will go very quickly. Now we know the first value is 36, then 56. Now see what will happen. When I click it, the total is 0, right? Total 36, 120, it means you add 56, 90, right? 35, 67, 48. It goes on like this. So I think I made some mistake somewhere. We have to change. So I have to say total plus total is 0. And we have to change total by not the change actually. That was a mistake I have made. We have to say set. Okay, I thought what was the mistake I made? It should be. So we have to say set. Right. So that was a mistake from my side. Okay, so that's why we get a huge value. Then we change. Okay, now I will repeat from the beginning. So if I start, it's 37. Then we have 30. Okay, so count, not count, it should be total. Again, there's a mistake. So it should be total again. So we'll start from the beginning. $36, $92, $182, $217, $284, $332, $361, $397, $446, $464. Now to find out the error, what we have to do? Average value. Yes, we have to get the average marks of it. Right? In average, we can just get the total. We'll set average. For that, we will get a variable average. So I'm going to go to average. Right, I'm going to create a variable average. And then we can set average to, we have to divide. How do you divide? Division. So what you're going to divide? The variable total by variable total by 10, right? Isn't it? We have 10. So we can do like that. And then finally, you can say it. We can say, right, average. So you can simply have average, or we can have operator like join operator. We can say average, right? And then we can have the variable average. Okay, so if I click it now, you will see average is 46.4 because we know total is 466. Now let's combine everything together. So I will combine here and combine here as well. So we can empty in the beginning marks. So I'm going to delete all of marks in the beginning and then to events. So I'll put this click, right? So this is the complete one. Now let me start. Right, complete. It's empty now, right? So let me start. So what we need to do, right? I will enter marks. So I will enter like 30, 67, 24, 56, 98, 39, 87, 23, 13, 100. Right. So you delete, you repeat 10 times, and then you have to, you should get the answer now. Did you get the answer? Right, you get 537, average is 53.7. Right, now this the weight thing I'm going to remove. Let me start from the beginning now to run one more time, like 23, 56, 78, 4, 76, 9, 70, 98, 56. Average is 62.7. So you see, it's easy. Okay, as a final one, I want you to like work on this one and show me the answer. With that one, we can finish the programming part. So few things that we have started with the repetition. Basically in repetition, we will repeat a set of statement and there are some conditions to it. Right. So there are few repetition structures available in Scratch. The first one is you can repeat for fixed number of times, let's say 10 times, 5 times and so on. And then we can also have a repetition based on particular condition. We say repeat until. And the third one, we can have endless repetitions. Okay. And then we also look at how we can have nested repetition. That means repetition within another repetition. Okay. And then you can combine this repetition in few ways. Now, for example, you can have a repetition for a given condition, and within that you can have a fixed number of times and so on. And at the end of the lesson, we look at how arrays could be used to store many items under a single name, right? And then we finally look at how we can divide a problem into smaller section and solve a problem by looking at the average marks. So with that one, we finish this, right? So we spend quite a lot of time on this one, but I think you get a good idea on how to use programming. The next part, we are going to look at microcontrollers, the very interesting one, and which is related to programming as well. In microcontrollers, we will use sometimes we know this part as an Internet of Things because they are single devices and they have a lot of sensors. Sensors means they can observe the environment, right? So we can actually process input as well as output, and we can also develop codes for different things. So let's look at microcontrollers, right? So these are everywhere. If you go to, like, for example, when you say, you know that we have, light sensors, and then depend on the darkness of the outside, we can say automatically switch on lights. So that's possible, right? So what happens, basically, there are three parts in microcontrollers. First one, you need to collect input, then you have to process, and then you do the output, right? Now, for example, if depend on whether we have lights, right? Because in the evening we get darker and then we know we need to switch on lights. So we can make use of microcontroller to do this for us. So we can have a light sensor to detect whether the environment is having a light or not. If you have a dark light, then we can switch on the bulb. So this is how, like, modern, we have lights everywhere in the city limits. So they can automatically control the lighting, right? So that otherwise, if I do it manually, if you forgot to switch it off, it will always switch on, right? So we can automate things. So if you take car, for example, the car or automobile, yeah, we have a lot of microcontrollers nowadays. Even they can ride themselves. In countries like US, they are giving what you call driving license for vehicles, not for humans, right? This was always possible with all this, the development of microcontrollers. So microcontrollers actually looks in different sizes and shapes, right? So for example, if you take a microcontroller, looks like this in the outer side, but within that, there are a couple of things. The first one is you have a central processing unit, like a computer. It's basically a small scale computer anyway. And you have a central processing unit and you have memories, right? So when you talk about memories, the memory will be two types, because sometimes a memory, we have a short-term memory, we say. That means it's not permanent. When we have power, we'll have memory, but when power goes off, there's nothing inside the memory. So this is called volatile. But if you take, if you want to store data, then permanently, then we have to have non-volatile memory. So memories are two types as non-volatile and volatile memories, right? So the same goes with the computer as well. We know if you take RAM, random access memories in desktop computers, for example, they are volatile. And if you take hard disk, for example, whatever we save in the hard disk is actually permanent. We call non-volatile memories. So remember, this is true for microcontrollers as well. And then you have system clock, right? Now this clock is used for various things, but the main task is it synchronizes components, right? Synchronization means you can do things in parallel. The final point is peripheral devices. We can connect many devices to these microcontrollers, like sensors, right? So that means we can connect many devices with these microcontrollers. So we will look at in this lesson how we can connect other devices and then make use of them for the processing. So when you look at the sensor usage, that can be seen in many places. Like if you take solar lamps, you know that it will charge during the daytime using solar energy and stores that energy, and when it gets darker, then it can switch on automatically, right? So that's solar energy. If you take washing machines, for example, washing machine, you can control how the washing performs. Now, for example, you can have hand wash, you can speed wash, quick wash, and so on. So you can many options. Now, similarly, you go for microwave ovens. So if you take microwave oven also you have a lot of, sensors are there, right? Okay, right. Now, we have, when it comes to microcontrollers, now there are different types of boards available. First one, single board computer. Now, single board computer means like a Raspberry Pi. So let me show you a figure, and later on I can show you like Raspberry Pis with you. So the Raspberry Pi is a small scale of computer. So we sometimes say credit card size computer. So let me show you in the web, and I will show you like, so it's similar to look like this, right? A single board computer, it's a small scale computer. So especially robots, if you are interested in, creating robots and so on. So nowadays we use Raspberry Pis for, developing robots. Right? The board look like this. So the newest one, it's called Raspberry Pi Pico. You can see, you can hold in 2 fingers. It's very small, right? So when you build a, robot, you don't know whether you have a, computer inside. It's a computer is looks like this, very small, and it's fast as well. And there are many things. If you go to look at the videos, let me show you some videos. We can have Raspberry Pi robots. There are robotic, Raspberry Pis. Everything is there.
Studying in Australia meant I could achieve my greatest ambition. Now I'm passionate about inspiring others. It's time to discover your brilliant future self. You can start your Australian education today from wherever you are.
We can't manage work like this. That's why I use Monday.com. My team uses it.
These are robots built on top of Raspberry Pis. It's like a cat, it self-balances. This is called humanoid robot, like a human. So all these things can be printed. This is open source project, by the way. If you want, you can download the code and everything, and you can build the robot. Again, what is inside is a Raspberry Pi. You can detect the face. And you can look at the face. When you move it, it will move.
Benji. Oh my. Nico. There. Wow. Come on.
You can actually, some places, they actually build this. There are robot competitions where you compete with the other robot. So this is another project.
Hey guys, I'm Davis. And I'm Aaron. And in this video, we're going to be making a one-way smart mirror. It's basically a mirror with a monitor right behind it. And the mirror is reflective enough so that you can see yourself, but you can also see information on the
Security cams.
In this video, we're going to show you how to make your own security camera to keep an eye on your home, valuables, or whatever else. The camera features facial and body detection and can send you an email notification whenever it detects someone in its field of view. The camera is small enough that you can pretty much place it anywhere. You also have the option of streaming live video from the camera through a webcam service. All the materials other than the two pieces of electronics can be found at your local hardware.
So this is the Raspberry Pi anyway.
So here we have pretty much the whole setup. For now, in the first prototype, I just cut out a piece of really thin balsa wood and cut holes in it, used Velcro straps so that it could be kind of in the center part here of the bike. So we brought it out onto the street and immediately people were asking me about it and looking at it, which was pretty cool. And it worked when I brought it out. Here you can see it actually changing speed as we speed up.
Light क्या रखे?
And I want to show you a first-person point of view here. This is what it's like biking for me in New York City, navigating between the cars and everything. Now, I don't have a ton of footage of me riding with it on because in the course of testing it and trying it out and making adjustments, I really ran down the battery on the projector. So by the time video, but has the name of whatever instrument you have, equal full kind of graphical representation. So these are all drum banks. They're all sample based. Now let's get into the actual three leads. And then the rest of these use the FM synthesis. They actually all use the same engine. And just like that, both halves of the handheld were complete. The only thing left to do was the wiring, which was pretty much the same as I described it in part 1 of this project. The only thing that is different this time was the increased number of buttons that we need to connect to the GPIOs of the Raspberry Pi. But as long as you carefully follow the given connection diagram, it should work out just fine. Once everything was wired up, I secured the Raspberry Pi, pushed the protection circuit inside the cartridge slots, flattened out the surface of the battery compartment, and reattached 2 of the screw brackets to the LCD with hot glue in order to close everything up with the given screws. After firing the batteries and flipping on the power switch, this project was finally complete, and it's definitely super fun to play. I hope you liked this video. If so, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Consider supporting me through Patreon to keep such videos coming. Stay creative, and I will see you next time.
So you see that there are a lot of things we can learn from this session. And I'll hope to continue this from the next week. So we will start microcontrollers from the next week then. Okay, have fun. We'll have a weekend. So we'll meet next week. Bye.